Hi, everybody. This is Kristen Morelli, co-founder of Perfect Supplements. Welcome to our webinar, Guarding the Gates, How to Boost Defenses from Common Viruses and Bacterial Infections, which will be presented by naturopathic Dr. Erica LePore. A little bit of what's coming up, what's happening. Erica has a 45-minute presentation loaded with incredible information that you're all going to want to hear. And then we'll have a live question and answer time. So definitely stick around. There is at the bottom of your screen, if you scroll down, not scroll down, but if you move your mouse to the bottom of your screen, the Q&A, you'll see the Q&A option. Any questions that you want to ask during the webinar, you can post those questions into the Q&A section, and Erica will do her best to answer those questions during the Q&A time. And then also at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a chat option. The chat option will just be for quick comments, so not your technical questions, but more quick comments during the webinar. And for example, if you want to practice, you could tell us right now where you're watching from in the chat section. We'd love to know where you're from. Okay, so that's the Q&A, the chat button. Hopefully you're happy to know that your video and audio is turned off, so feel free to have your jammies on and have a snack and let the dog bark. It's all good. Let's see. Oh, announcements. We might have, if there's any announcements, we'll put those in the chat area. And okay, I think that's it for technical stuff. And now we'll just get right into the webinar with Dr. Erica LePore. She has been practicing naturopathic medicine for 20 years. She is particularly an expert in detoxing the human body. She is the author and creator of the 21-day detox plan ebook and website. We'll post that information at the end. And Perfect Supplements is proud to partner with Dr. Erica in the formulation of our Perfect Liver Detox support. So you should definitely check that out. Okay, welcome, Erica. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you. Okay, so you're ready for me to get started?
Yes. Should I have a question?
Sure.
Is it realistic or important to focus on optimizing health right now? Shouldn't we be stocking up on comfort foods and putting longer-term health goals on hold?
Well, I think that's a great question, and I do want to talk about that. I feel like in the beginning of this pandemic, when we really didn't know what was coming, a lot of people did. Oh, hold on a second. Why is my slide not moving? Kristen. There we go. A lot of people did feel like it was more of a snow day. And when I was at the grocery store feeling very nervous about not having enough food for my family, I saw a lot of people buying a lot of ice cream and flour and sugar and butter, which are maybe some of the things that I would have bought too if I thought I was going to be snowed in for a couple of days. It's always comforting to bake and eat some ice cream and watch some TV. I even sent my husband out in a blizzard one time to get us ice cream because I just felt like I needed that comfort food. So I understand that people feel like that's something that they are more drawn to right now, especially as the world is so unsettling and the news is really upsetting. But I do feel like this is an opportunity to actually maximize our health. So I spend a lot of time running these 21-day detoxification workshops where I'm asking people to follow a very specific diet that is a challenge for a lot of people. They've signed up for the class, they know what they're getting themselves into, but on top of the diet recommendations I make, these same people are also having to feed their families and work full-time jobs, do business travel, they have social engagements. They're all asking me all of the time, I have to go to Singapore, how can I do the diet? I have to go to a wedding or a business function or a lunch with colleagues where it would be awkward if I just ate a salad or didn't have a drink. And none of those issues are on the table right now. This is the perfect time. We don't have anywhere to go. Most of us have more time than we've ever had. We're home. We have time to cook. Maybe we were used to eating all of our meals out. Maybe it's a little bit outside of your comfort zone to have to cook, but maybe you're experimenting with new food. So I actually think that it's the perfect time to optimize our health. So I love this quote, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. And I keep thinking at the end of this, you know, what will I have done with this gift of time that I've been given? And hopefully for other people out there, they'll be able to maybe focus a little bit more on optimizing their health. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be all or nothing, but even just picking one or two areas that you feel like you can improve on will be very, very helpful. So one thing about this current pandemic is we know that people with comorbidities aren't doing as well. The outcome isn't as good. So what are those comorbidities? Well, they're things like heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, all of which are completely reversible with diet and lifestyle changes. So you can make a difference in your health, and your underlying health is actually what matters most right now. I know that I'm here to talk about having an optimum immune system, not just boosting immune function, but balancing immune function. And how can we do that? Well, we can do that by thinking about where our body can be, where we can make improvements that might actually improve our underlying health, which will then improve our immune function and everything else. So what are some of the areas? So naturopaths believe that your body has an innate ability to heal itself if the obstacles to cure are removed. So I'm going to talk about what some of those obstacles are. So again, an innate ability. So your body can heal itself. It has everything it needs to do that if you remove the obstacles. So the obstacles are different for different people. And I'm going to go through a lot of them. Like some of you may be really overwhelmed. I have a tendency to give a lot of information. I'm going to try to pull it back a little bit so that I don't have to give you all honorary degrees in naturopathic medicine at the end of this. But I do like to share everything I know, or a lot of what I know, or at least touch on a lot of it. So if there's an interest in that someone, if it resonates, and you can kind of go with that and do some more research on your own. So this is the highlights of what I'm going to be talking about. How to improve your foundation of health. That's a key to naturopathic medicine. We're not green pharmacists. We don't prescribe a supplement to replace a drug. We go to the root cause of disease. We ask people many, many questions. We're health detectives. We try to figure out, okay, so you have migraine headaches. Well, I'm not going to look in my toolbox for which drugs are going to treat those migraines. I'm going to look in my toolbox for all of the different possible causes in your life that could be triggering those migraines, your genetics, your lifestyle, your diet, and it's going to be different for different people. So when I go through these foundation of health plan that I'm going to go through next, all of the different possibilities for you, you have to remember, don't feel overwhelmed. Not every single person is going to have every single place that they need to improve. It's going to be one or two for people. And if something resonates with you, if you say, oh yeah, I'm a really poor sleeper, I'm going to really focus on that right now, that's great. That's just one thing you can do. And you have the time now to do it. And there's so many tools available. So I'll go through those next, but that's what I'm going to be talking about, the foundation. Because without the foundation, if you have cracks in your foundation, if your foundation is faulty, you can't build a house on that. You can't just paint it and decorate it and hang some fancy drapes and then think that the house isn't going to crumble beneath you. So it's not just about supplements, it's about diet and lifestyle. And then the supplements are an addendum to that. They take you to the next level. So I always ask people to really try to go to diet and lifestyle first and then add the supplements in as needed. Now, this particular instance with this pandemic, I do feel like the supplements are actually more important than ever. Normally, I get people where I need them to be with diet and lifestyle. And then if I can't get them all the way there, then we start supplements. Now, in this particular instance, even I am taking a lot more supplements than I usually take. So I do want to go through that. That's going to be number 3. Number 2 is I'm going to be talking about the mucous membrane health and your gut health. So how you can support the barrier function. Those are the gates. We need to guard our gates. We don't want this virus to get in. We don't want it to replicate. We want it to if we do get sick, we want it to have the least effect as possible. So I want to talk a lot about supporting barrier function, which is also part of our foundation of health. And then nutrient support. These are going to be specific nutrient recommendations that I'm going to make for before you get sick, during an infection, and after. And again, I'm not particularly talking about COVID-19. It's a novel virus. We have no idea what works and what doesn't. It is an opportunity to try naturopathic medicine because of that. All of the recommendations I'm going to make have been researched on other viruses and bacterial infections, mostly influenza viruses, but even some coronaviruses, but not the SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that we're dealing with right now. So none of this will necessarily help that virus. However, what I'm going to recommend is going to be supplements that have a very, very low risk and a high possibility of high potential for help and a very low risk of harm. That's what I want to do. So let me see if I can get to the next slide this time. Yes, it worked. Okay, great. So what are some of the foundations of health? Where are areas that you can improve? So I wrote these all out in a positive way. And the negative aspect of this would be you have a nutrient. These are the things that could be causing a faulty foundation. You have a nutrient poor diet. You have food sensitivities. Your blood sugar is unstable. You're dehydrated. You're not sleeping. But let's talk about it from a positive standpoint. So what can you do? Well, nutrient density and diversity of foods is number one. That is my biggest passion, is getting people to eat real food and to eat healthy food. So when you're grocery shopping, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide, you want to maximize color and diversity and nutrient density. So make every bite count. If you're eating a bagel with cream cheese for breakfast and a turkey and cheese sandwich on white bread for lunch, there are no nutrients in there. You want phytochemicals. You want plant chemicals. Yes, you're getting protein and fat and carbs, but those things are important, those macro chemicals, but you also want the phytonutrients, the plant chemicals. So that you only can get that by eating a really diverse and colorful diet. So nutrient density is really important. So where are areas that you can improve that? Can you have a smoothie for breakfast? Can you have a salad once a day? Just simple changes will get you really, really far. My 21-day detox is a fast forward, but you can do it very slowly and still get great results. So nutrient density and diversity, identifying food sensitivities. This is really key, and I'm going to talk about it more later when I talk about gut health. But if your body is really focusing on digestion, because the foods that you're eating are clogging up your system, if your immune system is identifying your food as foreign, it doesn't have the time to detoxify, it doesn't have the time to digest, it doesn't have the time to activate a robust immune response, because it's too busy looking at gluten at every meal and saying foreign, or dairy, or whatever that food sensitivity might be for you. So it's very important to identify food sensitivities and eliminate them from your diet. I know that naturopaths talk a lot about food sensitivities. There's a big joke about, oh, did you see a naturopath? Did they tell you to go off gluten? The thing is, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I think that I mostly see people with chronic disease, and a lot of people have chronic disease. It's very, very common. When the news says, oh, people with comorbidities aren't doing as well, I think everybody has a comorbidity. It's not that uncommon. So if you have if you have a comorbidity, or if you have a lot of inflammation, if you're in a lot of pain, if your digestion is poor, and you come to see me because there's a laundry list of health complaints, you probably have a food sensitivity. So it's worth just giving that a try. And at the end, there's an appendix with like level 1 and level 2 of where you are and things to try. And food allergy elimination, it's not a true allergy, but food sensitive elimination is on there for people. And I always recommend just start with gluten and dairy if you don't want to do the whole thing. They're the most common. And I can give more information about that if anyone's interested. Okay, also stabilizing your blood sugar is really important. So my friend's daughter just recently saw a nutritionist, and they said, she told her, which I thought was really great, PFF is your BFF. So protein, fat, and fiber is your best friend. You want to have every meal, you want to have a protein, a fat, and a fiber so that your blood sugar is stable. What you don't want to do is drink apple juice. What you do want to do is eat the apple. There's no issue with eating high sugar fruits and vegetables like carrots and bananas and apples. Those are all really, really good. They're packaged by nature in a way that your body can digest them appropriately, and that you can have the nutrients plus the blood sugar stabilization at the same time. When you extract the nutrients from a food, when you press the apple and make a juice, that's when it's going to have a negative effect on blood sugar. So don't stock up on orange juice thinking it's going to help you improve your immune system. Studies actually have been done that 1 glass of orange juice will decrease immune function for 4 hours after. And that happens with a lot of different foods and also with sleep. So another issue is hydration, just making sure you stay really hydrated. That's going to help your mucous membrane health, which I'm going to talk about later. You really want your mouth and nose to be very moist right now. Dryness will cause you to become less resilient to the infection. So hydration is really important. Plus, as a naturopath, I always joke around that I have patients that come in and they'll say, I have chronic headaches, I have dry skin or eczema, I'm constipated. Like, all of those things sound awful and like a laundry list of discomfort. And all they need to do is drink water. If they drink 64 ounces of water a day, their headaches go away, their dry skin goes away, their constipation is resolved. So water is really, really important. If you're not going to do anything else right now, just drink water. I don't like drinking a lot of water because I have to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes, but now I'm home all the time. It's no big deal to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes. So it's a great time to experiment with just really loading up on water and see how you feel. Sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, really important. People that sleep less than 7 have decreased immune function the entire next day than people that sleep 8 or more. You don't want to oversleep because of your circadian rhythm, but 7 to 8 to 9 is really, really great. Making sure that you sleep in a really dark room so that your melatonin levels are high. Again, I can speak on each of these issues for 45 minutes, so I'm trying to give you my highlights right now. Melatonin is anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of research right now with COVID-19 that it may be helpful in mitigating that extra over-inflammation immune response. So one way to do that without supplementing is just make sure your room is pitch black when you go to sleep so that the melatonin levels are super high. And when you wake up in the morning, if there's any sunlight at all in the morning between 8 and 11, go outside, get that sunlight on your face. The melatonin levels will drop and your cortisol levels will naturally be elevated from sleep. And that's exactly the circadian rhythm that you want to be in. So I just think that's another great opportunity. Like, we all have a little bit more time to adjust our schedules. So maybe you can work on getting to sleep earlier and waking a little bit earlier and getting that light on your face. Another place that your foundation of health you might be able to improve upon is the 12-hour fasting window. So I know a lot of people talk about this intermittent fasting. There have been a lot of research on animals, on rats especially, that show that, or actually they're mice, but that if you fast for 12 hours, which means not eating any food at all between the last meal of your day and the first meal of the next day, that your blood sugar is more stable, all of your metabolic parameters are improved, people lose weight, their cholesterol drops, and it's very, very healthy. And the good news about the 12-hour fasting window is that you don't need to do it 7 days a week. These mice that they originally studied, they actually let them eat whatever they wanted on the weekends, and they still maintained all of their benefits. So try it out. If you've never done anything like that and you don't have any issues with blood sugar, then meaning hypoglycemia, you might need to eat more regularly. 12 hours can be a long time. Some people feel really shaky in the morning if they go that long, but some people can do longer. And if weight loss is a goal, then increase that fasting window to 14 hours. I always want to remind people that, and I remember when I was little and I realized that, like, the word breakfast meant breaking the fast. I know this is like really common, but I just remember when I first learned that and I thought, oh my gosh, it's fascinating. Of course it is. But are we really fasting? So many people are eating up until they go to bed. They're hardly sleeping 6 hours a night, and then they're getting up and they're having coffee with cream, which counts as breaking the fast. Black coffee doesn't, but as soon as you put that cream in your coffee, it does. So try to go a little longer. You won't digest, you won't detoxify until your body is completely empty of food for 12 hours. So 8 hours to digest, 4 hours to detox, and all of those will, I mean, there's so much information about this, but your cells are all cleaning house, all of the mitochondria is regenerating. It's just, if you think about like being able to get so much done and be asleep during it, it's really kind of exciting. And if you just try it during this time, you might feel better. Okay, so stress reduction is really important. I feel like this is a time when people are really stressed out. And I don't know what, works for people for decreasing stress. I really like to exercise, so that helps me, but making sure that you're doing whatever practice that works for you so that your stress level is lower. There have been a lot of research studies that show that certain inflammatory enzymes are reduced when people are managing their stress. So that's something that's really important. Spending time in nature, also really healing and important. I know that it's hard right now. You want to go outside in places where there aren't a lot of people, but if you can get outside and go for a walk, or even just stand out on your deck or your yard and look at the view, or look out a window, or go to a park, if it's open, just to try to get outside in nature. Nurturing relationships, really important. Being alone is hard. I think Zoom is great, FaceTime, you all know this. So try to make a phone call to a friend, or just try not to isolate yourself so that you do have a little bit more interaction with people. That also really helps me. I feel like my kids are like, stop talking on the phone, but it does help. Okay, so eliminating toxins. This is a big one for me. I'm really passionate about it. My main passion is eliminating toxins in our food supply. So making sure that when you're reading ingredient labels that you're not eating a lot of food additives and preservatives. They're all going to compromise your gut health, which will compromise your immune health and your detoxification pathways. Exercising, again, also really helpful. Moving your big muscles, getting lymph and blood flow through your body. And then laughter. I have a text group with friends where we share funny memes, and my kids don't think they're funny at all, but I think they're all hysterical. And I really feel like that's getting me through right now. Like some days I'm like, please, somebody send me a funny meme. Okay, so those are all foundation of health, areas where you may be able to improve upon. Again, it's a lot of information. If there's one or two areas that really resonate with you, please just try to start by focusing on one or two areas. Small changes make a big difference in the long run. So it's really about creating new habits and finding whatever works for you. So I've been doing this a long time, and if people tell me I don't like salmon, I don't like kale, you know what, then don't eat salmon and kale. There's so many other foods that you can eat. It's not a big deal. You don't have to force yourself to eat foods that you don't enjoy. There's plenty of foods available, and I'm sure you like some of them. Okay, so the next slide is going to be about just a little bit more about the diet piece of this, because I feel like this is the most important. It's what you're in most control of. What you put in your body really, really does count. Like I said, every meal matters. So if you need to eat, which I'm going to talk about a couple more times, but somewhere between 7 to 10, 9 to 12 fruits and vegetables a day, that's servings of fruits and vegetables. A serving is a cup of raw or half a cup of cooked. If you're going to eat, if you need to eat that many a day, you really don't want to miss an opportunity. So every single meal should have some fruit or vegetable, and they should be a variety of colors. So think about your breakfast, your lunch, maybe a smoothie. I like smoothies, but even just having adding blueberries to your cereal, adding sliced strawberries, that will be very helpful. Garlic and onions, the sulfur-containing vegetables all have immune support functions. They're antiviral. Garlic specifically right now is getting a lot of press. So I'm putting a lot of garlic in my cooking right now. My husband has like a digestive issue when he eats garlic, and he's like, I'm cleaning this garlic press every night. Stop with the garlic. But I mean, he's not the only one in the family, and we all need to eat lots of garlic. So try to get more of it in your diet. Fermented foods for a healthy gut. So probiotic rich foods. I like to have sauerkraut. I really like it, but you could also have kimchi or kombucha or yogurt, like a plain Greek yogurt, or a probiotic rich nut milk yogurt is really great too. Lots of nuts and seeds for minerals. Selenium, zinc is in nuts and seeds, which we'll talk about later. Green tea is like a superfood. It's anti-inflammatory, it's antiviral, it's anti-cancer. If you eat the tea leaves in a food like matcha, then you're going to be getting even more of the benefits. But if you're drinking green tea, then just kind of squeeze out the bag, use it a few times, get all of the good nutrients out of there, and try to drink it throughout the day. It's very, very helpful. Mushrooms are really great, especially the whole mushroom. So any kind of mushroom, every mushroom has been studied. So even the little white button mushroom is really, really healthy. Shiitake mushrooms are great, reishi, maitake. So go to the store and just experiment with mushrooms. I have a great vegan mushroom stew that I make a lot that I feel like is really important right now. So things like that are really great. And then cooking with herbs and spices. The antioxidant level of your entire spice drawer is probably higher than any food in your refrigerator. So adding oregano and turmeric and basil and other spices to your cooking will just give you, it's like taking a supplement. You're getting an antioxidant boost. And then things like sugar have the opposite effect. So again, sugar will decrease your immune function. So those are the good things to eat. And then this is what you want to try to avoid. So out of the 600,000 items in the grocery store, 80% of them have added sugar. So I always ask people to read their ingredient labels to make sure that they're not eating foods that are loaded with added sugar. So the only way to know that is to not look at the sugars in the nutrient panel, but to look at the ingredient list and read the words. Now, companies don't want you to read those words. They make them very, very small, all caps, all beneath the fold, a hard place to find, because they don't want you to know what's really in their food. If you're going to be a health detective, you need to be your own health detective too, which means reading ingredient labels and trying to avoid sugar. Now, Is it okay to occasionally eat something sweet? Yes, of course. Is it okay to be eating sweet foods all day and have no idea that you are because you're eating crackers and salad dressing and ketchup and pasta sauce that all have added sugar? No, that's not okay, because you didn't intentionally do that. You just thought that trusted that the company was making actually pasta sauce and not like a dessert. So save your sugar for dessert. So reading those ingredient lists is really important. That could be like the one thing you do over the next few weeks, is just avoid added sugar, and you'll be doing yourself a huge favor. Processed foods, refined carbs, we all know about that. You want to eat as whole a food as possible. Nutrient density is really important. You're not going to get that from any refined food. Sweetened drinks, I just tell people not to drink your sugar. If you drink your sugar, your brain doesn't have the same biochemical response to it as if you eat your sugar. So your body will still be craving sugar after a sweet drink. So just avoid sugar, sugary drinks. Don't add sugar to your coffee. You can use stevia, or just try to wean yourself off completely from sweeteners. Soda definitely is a no. Any kind of like lemonade or sweet tea, but also Gatorade, I really don't like. Unless you're running a marathon, your body has no use for high fructose corn syrup, and that is in Gatorade. So there's other electrolytes that you can use that I think are really helpful. And then alcohol you want to avoid, obviously, as well. It compromises detoxification and liver function. It dries out your mucous membrane. So really try to limit the alcohol if you are going to have a drink occasionally during this time. So again, I could talk about all of these foods for hours and hours, especially sugar, because that's my favorite topic. But I'll keep going, and then at the end, if there's time, maybe I'll share some more sugar stories. Okay, so Kristen, how are we doing? Anybody have a question, or am I good?
Hi, Erica. Thank you. That was so great. So much wonderful information. I really love the PFF is your BFF.
Yes,
as a mom of teens. That's
yeah.
going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
We did have one question about kombucha. Will kombucha break your fast?
Anything with, I usually tell people anything with 50 calories or more will break the fast, but there is conflicting research on that. Some people say that, you know, any food that you eat breaks your fast. So I think that kombucha, it's very low calorie. So if you ate just a little bit, or drank just a little bit, I don't think that it would, but the whole bottle, I think there's 60 calories a serving. So that would break your fast. But I think a little bit is okay. I do tend to stick with the 50 calories or less. So that is a really good question. I feel like we're still learning a lot about intermittent fasting and how to maximize the benefits of it. I know black coffee doesn't. Okay, so.
Well, you had a couple more questions about sugar. Should I ask those now? Or you want to wait till the end?
I don't know. Ask one and then I'll let you know about, because I want to make sure I get through all this before people need to go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Are you going to ask?
1 second.
Okay.
That was the. I think you may have already answered it because it was about the calories. So I think we're all set. The calories comment answered it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I have another question.
Okay.
We hear a lot about physical barriers such as masks and gloves, and are told to avoid touching our mouth, nose, and eyes. But during cold and flu season, how can we also build up our defenses at these entry points?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So of course I need to say, and I know that you all already know this because we're 5 weeks in and we've heard it a million times, but you need to follow CDC guidelines as far as hand washing, mask wearing, social distancing, and then quarantining if you go out and about, like if you leave the state and come back, or if you're sick, or if you've been exposed, or if you have any signs of illness, then you stay at home. So we all know that. But what I want to talk about is how we guard the gates beyond that. So if you're wearing a mask, you're physically guarding your gate. You're covering your nose and your mouth, not your eyes. So you want to be careful about your eyes, but that's a physical barrier. But there are other barriers that you have, like your mucous membranes, your nasal passages, your throat, your gut health. So how do we increase our resiliencies by boosting barrier function? So that's what I'm really interested in, because now is a really critical time. The before you get sick time is really, really important. If you can help your body to handle any kind of virus when it invades better, then you're going to have a better outcome. So how do we increase our body's response and defense? So here are some ways that we can do that. So we need to make sure that the barrier function is really optimized, the health of our barrier function. So the mucous membranes line your entire digestive tract from your mouth all the way to the end. It's about 30 feet of outside world. So have you ever really thought about this? I don't know if you have, but I think about this a lot. So what you're putting into your body is your body interacting with the outside world. So there's a lot of digestion and a lot of tissue space that your body will see outside stuff. So your food is really, really important because it's going to help to maximize the function of that membrane lining. And your gut health is essential. Now, you all knew I was going to say that, right? Like, your gut is the root of your health. We really need to maximize gut health. It's very, very important. It's the home to a very large part, if not the largest part of the immune system. 70% of our immune cells originate in your gut. So if your gut is inflamed, if you have food sensitivities, if you're eating a lot of toxic food, a lot of food additives, added sugar, preservatives, if your microbiome, which I know you all have heard that word too, which is the little world of gut bacteria that lives inside of your body, if that microbiome is compromised because of your digestion or your food choices, then your immune system will also be compromised. So we really need to maximize the health of the immune system. And the way to do that is to maximize the health of your gut. So identifying and eliminating food sensitivities is huge, because inflammation is going to disrupt your immune health and your gut health. So you want to make sure you decrease inflammation. So how do you do that? You alkalinize your system. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Identify food sensitivities, but also the health of that microbiome. So I'm reading this novel right now, and the protagonist said, I have so much to worry about. Now they wanted me to worry about this invisible microbiome too. And I thought that was very funny, and I also can relate, but I also wanted to say to her back, like, you don't need to worry about it at all. If you're eating the right food, if you're just eating lots of fruits and vegetables and lots of fiber, then you're feeding your microbiome without even consciously doing it. If you're doing the opposite, if you're eating a lot of sugar, if you're eating a lot of food additives and preservatives, if you've taken a lot of antibiotics in your life, you're disrupting that microbiome, and you need to replenish it. And it replenishes and heals very, very quickly, which is the good news. You can make very positive changes in as little as 3 days. I've seen people with my detox have complete transformations of their health within the first week of the program. So it doesn't take long. And there's all sorts of research to back this up, even with detoxifying chemicals. So a lot of chemicals, not the ones stored in your fat tissue like heavy metals, but a lot of the other ones are eliminated within a few days. So really being conscious of it, and you'll find that you start to feel better, and making sure that your gut isn't inflamed by not feeding it food that's pro-inflammatory is really, really helpful. And also proper digestion and elimination. A lot of people have irritable bowel syndrome, GERD, constipation, other digestive disturbances. And if that's what's going on with you, then you may need to maximize your digestion and making sure you eliminate properly to have a maximum detoxification, but also maximum immune response. So those are all really important. I'm going to talk about how to do that now. Okay, so at the end of this presentation, I have an appendix where I have this all listed out with dosing and more information about why and how, but for now, I'm just going to go through it all. So again, your gut health is really, really important. You don't want to be inflamed. You don't want your digestive system to be interacting more with the foreign invaders from your food than it is with the foreign invaders from what you've eaten, what you've breathed in, or what you've touched and allowed to enter your body. That microbiome, the research is showing now that it's the first line of defense, meaning those bacteria that are living inside of your gut actually communicate with your immune cells in your gut wall, in your gut lining, and then tell your immune system whether to mount to response or not, how to act. If that's all inflamed, then that's not going to be very positive communication. So that's going to compromise your overall immune function. So we really want to make sure your gut is healthy. So this is a foundational piece that I feel like people can try right now to improve. So again, hydrating is really important. I already talked about that. Alkalinizing your system is really important. This is not alkalinizing your blood. that you don't want to do, that you can't do, that will kill you. Alkalinizing your tissue space. So making sure that you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. They're more alkaline. Viruses can't survive as well in an alkaline environment. So if you're already vegan or vegetarian, then your body is very, very alkaline. If you're eating a lot of meat and dairy and other animal products, then you're going to have a more acidic system. Alkaline diets also decrease inflammation. I think anti-inflammatory diets are really, really important. So Dr. Weil has an anti-inflammatory food pyramid. You can look at that when we're done. There's a lot of carbs on his food pyramid, but if you can maybe eliminate gluten and decrease the carbs, the grains, then you'll get a lot of benefit from the rest of that pyramid. So looking at that would be really helpful. Lemon water, that's why I have this picture here. Lemon, even though it's an acidic food, you might think that it's acidifying, but it's actually alkalinizing. So putting a squeeze of lemon in your water all day when you drink it will help to alkalinize your system. It tastes good. It might get you to drink more water. It's easy to do. And actually that same lemon in green tea maximizes the benefits of green tea as well. Okay, probiotics and prebiotics. So again, the kombucha, the sauerkraut, kimchi, the yogurts, they all have probiotics. The prebiotics are the fibers. You really want to make sure that you're eating a lot of fiber, at least 30 grams of fiber a day. And that you're going to get easily if you're eating a whole apple, maybe even 2 a day, berries, which have tons of fiber, all those seeds are the fiber. If you're eating other fiber-rich foods like all the vegetables, like a salad, but also I do think that it's important to maybe add in a little bit of extra fiber. So things like chia seeds and flax seeds are very high in fiber. They're both high in omega-3 fatty acids. Again, but you're not going to get as much from the seed, but still high in omega-3s. And also have a lot of other health benefits. So a tablespoon of flaxseed a day in some water would be really helpful. Cooking with chia, adding it to your smoothie. I use baobab fiber in my detox classes. I've been using it for years. People love the taste, and actually mixing that in water as like a flavor enhancer has been really nice for people. So maybe adding in a fiber supplement, especially if your elimination is poor. So really bulking up that stool is really important. That's where all the detoxification is happening. Well, first your liver, but then out your body in your stool. If you're constipated, you're holding on to toxins. So making sure that you have a nice, firm, bulky stool is really great. People talk about their stool a lot in my classes, so I can really get into it, but fiber, just taking a fiber supplement once a day will do that for you. So other nutrients like vitamin A, and the fiber is a prebiotic. So I don't know if I think I said it, but let me just say it again. So it feeds the good bacteria in your gut and helps them to survive and helps them to replicate and make sure that that microbiome is really, really healthy. Again, you could also take a probiotic supplement. There is some research about probiotics with viral infections, increasing immunity, decreasing pneumonia risk. If you're not getting a lot of probiotics in your diet, you may want to supplement. This could be a good time to do that. If you have a long history of antibiotic use, again, probiotics may be helpful. So then just some nutrients, single nutrients that help increase secretory IgA, which is the immunoglobulin that lines your mucous membrane. So you want to have that immunoglobulin be functioning really optimally right now. So some of the nutrients that do that are vitamin A and zinc in particular, and I'm going to talk about those a little bit later again. But having a multivitamin or an antioxidant formula that includes these nutrients, this is a really important time to do that. Vitamin C is also very important for gut health. It also helps to make collagen, and collagen will help shore up the lining in your gut. So if people have food sensitivities, they probably have a leaky gut. If you know about what a leaky gut is, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's when there's micro tears from inflammation in your gut lining, and the proteins that you're eating are actually, that should be staying within your gut wall, are actually leaking through your gut, and your blood, your circulation is identifying them as foreign, it's overreacting to them, it's mounting an immune response, it's increasing inflammation, and you're having a response to a food that you shouldn't be having. That's a food sensitivity. That's what I'm mostly talking about. I'm not talking about a food allergy. A food allergy is you have a peanut allergy, a shellfish allergy, you have celiac disease. That is completely different. You can't recover from that. But from a food sensitivity, which is what I'm mostly talking about, then you can, because you're not allergic to the food, you're sensitive. So the way to heal that leaky gut is to improve that lining of the membranous lining of your gastrointestinal tract with specific nutrients like vitamin A, zinc, selenium. Also, collagen is very, very helpful for shoring up that gut lining. So a collagen supplement, glutamine, that fuels the cells in your gut, really helpful for decreasing inflammation in your gut lining and healing leaky gut syndrome. And then magnesium. I just love magnesium. It's the cure-all. If I could put everybody who comes into my office on water, magnesium, and vitamin D, I cure 50% of the people without doing anything else. Magnesium has so many health benefits. It helps with insomnia, it helps with muscle aches, it helps with headaches, it helps with anxiety. I love magnesium and I have everybody take it. Oh, and then as far as the digestion, it helps with constipation. So I feel like I'm probably screaming. I'm sorry, I'm such a loud, fast talker. If you could turn your volume down on the computer if I'm too loud. Okay, so magnesium will help move your bowels. Like you have to think milk of magnesia, right? So magnesium will help move your bowels. So you need to start with a low dose and increase the dose until you get to the dose that your bowels can tolerate. If you're already constipated, you can start at a full dose. If you have regular stools and you want to take magnesium for the relaxation effects, for muscle aches and pains, for headaches, for anxiety, then you just start at the lowest dose, and every day you increase it by that same amount until your stools get loose. As soon as they get loose, you back off on the dose, and that's your body specific dose. So again, none of this is a one size fits all. The main thing that naturopaths do is that health detective work that I talked about, and we need to figure out what works for each individual. So it's the same with the nutrients, but a lot of what I'm trying to give is really general information, and hopefully you can gain something from it, but I do really love magnesium. Okay, so that's, this is about membrane health and gut health, so hopefully that's helpful. If there are questions about that, I can take them now. Otherwise, I'll just wait until the end. Kristen, are we good?
Hi, Erica. We had a couple of clarifying questions.
Okay.
One was, does lime in your water work as well as lemon?
Yes, I was almost said it, but it does. Yes, good question.
Okay, great.
I love the smell of lime. It's such a good smell. Yes.
And
Okay.
then the other question was, how do you spell the Dr. Wheel's name that has the alkaline?
Okay, it's Dr. Weil. It's W-E-I-L.
Okay.
And if you just write anti-inflammatory food pyramid into your Google search, you'll see it. So
okay.
that's a great starting point right there. It's just looking at that diet and trying to see if you can eat more at the bottom of the food pyramid and less at the top. Okay.
Oh, and it looks like we have a question about magnesium. Is there a particular type of magnesium? It says there's 8 different kinds. Does it matter which one? Was the question about magnesium.
Well, I use magnesium citrate because it's so well absorbed, because I want it to have not just gastrointestinal effects, but also effects on your entire body. There are other forms that are going to have more of a, to help aid in constipation, like the oxalate forms that aren't going to be as well absorbed. So I think magnesium citrate or glycinate are the best. Okay,
thank you. And then what about apple cider vinegar in water?
You know, there are actually research studies that show that it is really helpful. It is also alkalinizing. It's one food that I just haven't used a lot in private practice. Like it's just, I cook with it all the time, but I don't drink it. But I know a lot of people do and they feel really good. So I think it's okay. I think it's good. I know there's research about weight loss, that people who add it to their water it will help stimulate their metabolism. So it's not going to hurt you. So most of what I'm going to talk about isn't going to hurt you. It might not help. The apple cider vinegar might not help, but hopefully it does. That's a good
okay. And then did you, I think it was Baobab. It said, what is the name of the fiber supplement? That was Baobab, right?
Yeah, that's from an African fruit. It's a dry fruit that is powdered. And the reason I really like Baobab is because it's also full of antioxidants. So it's not just a fiber source, whereas flaxseed and chia, they do have omega-3s, which is an added health benefit, but they're not going to give you any nutrients. And Baobab will give you a lot of nutrients, which is why I really like it. And that's why I use it with my detox, because when you're detoxifying, you want to make sure your body is flooded with antioxidants so that when toxins are released, they don't damage the tissues. So I really like it. And they love, my class loves the flavor. I used to use psyllium fiber, which works really well at bulking the stool. but doesn't really have any other added benefit. And they all hated it. I mean, 15 years of psyllium fiber. So finding the baobab was really, really helpful, and people are very happy with it.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, I just want to, it's almost quarter of already.
Oh
And
my
I know
gosh, no.
you have a few more slides.
Okay, should I should go through them. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up with the Q&A.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm not gonna go through this slide then. I don't think this slide is that interesting. I just, as a naturopath, like to have people test their levels, like vitamin D3. I should have had a clock in front of me. We all know we want to have optimum D3 right now. So 40 to 80 nanograms per milliliter is the optimum level. So not right now, you don't want to go to a lab, but when you do have an opportunity to get your blood work done, it's really important to get those levels tested. Supplementing with 2,000 to 5,000 IUs a day now is safe, or more based on levels only. It's a fat soluble vitamin, so you don't want to take too much. Zinc deficiencies can decrease immune function, so you want to make sure you have enough zinc. You're not going to test that in a lab, but that's just something I put as a precursor to decreasing immune function. Selenium also, it's really hard to get selenium in our diet, so the soil is depleted, it's not high in a lot of food, so making sure you get enough selenium for detoxification is really important. That's 200 micrograms a day, or 2 Brazil nuts a day, which is the middle picture here. They're the only food, or the food that's the highest in selenium. And then testing your ferritin levels, which are your iron stores, are also really important. All of this is related to immune function, as well as lots of other body systems. Okay, so then what do we do before we get sick? This is really just going through nutrients. So I'll go through it a little bit more quickly, and then if you have questions, I'll ask them at the end. So everything I already said is the before also. So eating a plant-based diet, lots of flavonoid-rich foods. And then these are the supplements that I would recommend. This is what I'm recommending to my patients and that I'm taking personally before. So elderberry every day before you get sick is completely safe. So you want to take elderberry, it's antiviral, it decreases viral replication. It's very helpful to have on hand. It's something I would stock up on right now because you're not sick yet. So it's the perfect pre-sickness herb, and it tastes delicious. Kids love it. It's something that you can even make at home if you have elderberries. Don't try to harvest them unless you know what you're doing, but you can buy them, or you can get an extract, and it's really helpful. Then I would just recommend an antioxidant or multivitamin supplement that has zinc, A, C, and D in it. So you don't have to take a lot of extra supplements. If it's really high quality, it's going to have the right nutrients. I would take extra vitamin C at these doses right now, and extra vitamin D if you are not getting enough in that multivitamin. And when I say multivitamin, I mean high quality multivitamin, not Centrum, not almost anything that you can buy at a drugstore is not what I'm talking about. Those prevent scurvy, those prevent rickets, those do not boost your immune function. So having or support your overall health. So making sure you're getting enough of the right nutrients is really important. Again, mostly I would be doing this through diet, but right now I'm also recommending that people take some extra nutrients for added benefit. NAC is a nutrient you may not have heard of. It is it's very high in cysteine, which is a precursor to glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. It thins mucus in your lungs and mucous membranes, so it's very helpful for lower respiratory tract infections. It also helps prevent infections. So it's a really great nutrient to take right now. Also, Tylenol, you know how people are saying you should take Tylenol and not ibuprofen right now. Well, Tylenol decreases glutathione, which is why it causes liver damage in some people. So supplementing with NAC may help to decrease that negative effect of Tylenol. And then green tea, tons of research about anti-inflammatory effects, super healthy, drink it all day. It's really, really good for you. Decaf or caffeinated, both have a lot of health benefits. So if you're sensitive to caffeine, you can still drink it. Adding lemon juice to it really helps. So this is all before. And then what if you do get sick? Well, if you do get sick, I would just up the dose of what I already said before, which are the first things: zinc, vitamin C, NAC, zinc, quercetin. Oh, I didn't mention quercetin. Quercetin, also anti-inflammatory. It's found in red apples and onions and lots of other fruits and vegetables, but very high in those. It helps drive zinc into the cells so that zinc can have that antiviral effect. So when you before you get sick and when you are sick, taking quercetin, all of these, again, really little risk, potentially high benefit. So if and when I do, or when I do get sick, or if I get sick, or whatever, all of us, I'm going to just max dose here on these nutrients. Again, green tea, same thing, just keep drinking it, or you can supplement with EGCG, which is the flavonoid in green tea that's been found to be most effective, although green tea itself has the whole plant, so you're getting a lot more benefit if you drink the tea. Also, too much green tea can cause liver damage. It's really rare, but I wouldn't drink 4 cups of tea and supplement with EGCG. Okay, resveratrol is also a flavonoid. It's extracted from grapes and also Japanese knotweed. I like the grape version better. It doesn't cause the digestive upset that the Japanese knotweed version causes. The dose that I recommend for its antiviral effects is 100 milligrams a day before, 100 milligrams 2 times a day before, 150 milligrams 2 times a day during. So I'd add in the resveratrol and the curcumin for their anti-inflammatory and antiviral effects. Curcumin, we all know, is antiviral, anti-inflammatory. This is, if we're talking about COVID, it is an inflammatory disease. There's a lot of inflammasomes that are activated. So decreasing inflammation is really important. And curcumin, I think, is an essential add-on for that, to support that anti-inflammatory effect. Okay, so I've already mentioned the other melatonin, vitamin D3 and elderberry. I'm recommending people stop if they have symptoms of an infection, since it seems in the lab that they can increase the cytokines that are the cytokines responsible for the cytokine storm. There's no clinical evidence that this happens in people, and nobody has ever seen it happen in any human. It's probably safe, but since we have so many herbs and nutrients in our toolkit, it's just better to err on the side of caution. Okay, and then other supportive therapies. Oh my gosh, there's so much information. So these are other naturopathic therapies. If you're homesick and you want to have lemon balm tea or peppermint tea, they're antiviral. The lemon balm tea is calming, peppermint tea, antiviral. Anything in that mint family is really helpful. Licorice root tea tastes delicious, also antiviral. Again, some other herbs and tinctures that you might enjoy. Magnesium, I mentioned, melatonin. I don't recommend suppressing a low-grade fever. A fever is your body's immune response to actually kill the virus. So you want to have a fever. So if you're not in a lot of achy pain, or maybe you can take some magnesium for that, and you and your fever's not high, letting your body mount that fever response is really important. Another home remedy is steam inhalation. I think thyme is a great addition to that. If you have thyme essential oil at home, you can add that to your water, or you can just get some thyme leaf. I've done this many times. The thyme I cook with, put it in the hot water, make like a big bowl of basically tea, and then put a cloth over your head and breathe that in. And then the hot treatment and the wet sock treatment are both naturopathic remedies that are not studied by science, but have been used clinically for probably 100 years. And I've seen them work really, really well for people. So if you want to know more about them, I'll talk about them at the end. I can also write up something and we can email it out to you. If you're sweating and have a fever, you should be also using an electrolyte replacement. So I like the dry replacement powders, not like the Gatorade, like I mentioned earlier, and just read the ingredients to make sure there's no added sugar. Okay, those are some other supportive therapies. I'm happy to talk about any more of them in more detail. And then after you're sick, there's some post-viral fatigue that can happen with a lot of infections. As far as nutrients, CoQ10, it could be really helpful, has a lot of other positive effects on the body, but it's really important for mitochondrial health. And then also astragalus is great for recovery. It's also really good for before you get sick and even during, but really great for recovery. And then cordyceps, it's a mushroom or a fungus that hopefully is mostly grown in a lab right now. The natural form is grown on a caterpillar, but it combats fatigue and weakness. It's used to enhance athletic performance. So it's a very good post-viral support, because it's going to really help with that weakness and fatigue. It's just a very safe, very nice addition if you do get sick and you're feeling really tired afterwards, which people have been saying with this particular infection, that they are having a lot of this post-viral fatigue, but also with the common cold, other coronaviruses, and the influenza virus that can happen as well. Okay, so that's it. Now, here's my summary. This is what I've talked about. And then again, the appendices at the end have a lot more information that you're all welcome to. And maybe I'll just put them up so you can take pictures of them while we're answering questions. How about that? Because I don't know if you're all going to get a copy of this or not. Okay. Is that, Kristen, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm sorry I had to rush the end, and hopefully if you can get a copy or you've taken screenshots of your computer, then you have all the information. And if you want my email address, I'm happy to answer questions at any time. I'm very generous with my time, and I like helping. So please reach out to me if you have a specific question.
Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Dr. LePore. That was wonderful. And we will send the slides out to everybody.
Okay, great.
You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, so we do have some questions.
Okay.
So let me pull those up. Okay. Okay. So our friend who was asking about the kombucha has a little follow-up. She said it's a home brew that she brews for 3 to 4 weeks and is not very sweet. So it's hard to know. She doesn't know how many calories she's getting.
Oh, you know what? It's probably fine then, because I've noticed that the labels have changed in the store-bought varieties, where they used to not put the sugar on there, or because it was supposed to be, you know, used up by the bacteria and not part of the finished product. So now they're adding that in as an ingredient, and the calorie content has stayed the same. So my guess is there's not a lot of sugars. If you look at the, that's a time when I would look at the actual sugars on the nutrient panel to see how many grams of sugar there are, and they're always very low, if non-existent. So I think that then your kombucha is perfectly fine. It's probably like drinking a cup of black coffee or tea.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and then we had a question: is fasting more than 12 hours? Do you know of any dangers for that?
No, I think it's actually great. I think 12 hours is just reasonable and doable for a lot of people. So I always start with a 12-hour fast. People haven't ever done it before, so it just makes sense to start with 12 hours. But if people aren't reaching their health goals after 12 hours, then I will say to try a 14-hour fast or even a 16-hour fast. I don't usually recommend more than 16 hours, although there is a lot of evidence. I don't do this myself, and it's not my area of expertise, but there's a lot of really, really good research about water-only fasts for no more than 1 or 2 days, that it works very well to regenerate your cells on a lot deeper level than even the intermittent fasting. Dr. Greger, I love Dr. Greger, nutritionfacts.org. He is really, he reads all the primary research and then consolidates it for his audience. And he has a webinar or some information, it may not be a webinar, but something you listen to, all about fasting. I would go straight to him if I wanted more information about increasing my window more than 16 hours.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's a question about vitamin D, needing vitamin K, and in what ratios?
Yeah, I know a lot of people, I do think that vitamin K is important, and to be added to vitamin D, especially for bone health and other positive effects of vitamin D. I don't see a lot of research that you need it for immune function, but they are usually coupled together. The ones that I take are not actually, but a little vitamin K in there. The ratio doesn't matter as much. It's not like with zinc, you just need a little. Same with zinc. Like the zinc ratio, you don't want to overdo vitamin K, especially if you have like any underlying like blood thinning issues or anything, or on certain drugs, but a little bit is enough for the vitamin K, vitamin D. The same with zinc. Zinc and copper are also really bound together, but for like this particular instance or for immune support, I'm not taking a zinc that's bound with copper. I'm just taking a zinc. I wouldn't do that long term because there's a danger in depleting my copper, which is not what I would want. But anything short term, like 2 to 4 weeks of a high dose zinc, is completely safe. Vitamin D, same thing. You don't always have to couple it with K, but if you're taking a multivitamin with K in it, that's a good safe bet. And then take some extra vitamin D. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you. Okay, and it looks like there is some interest, definitely some interest in your hot treatment and your wet sock treatment. So I don't know if we could add that to the info email that we send.
Sure, I'd be happy to send just a handout I give my patients on how to do it at home. It's all really simple and great. I mean, everyone loves the hot and the wet sock treatment. So sure, I'll share this at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to hear the hot. I know about the wet sock. I don't know about the hot.
So hot is if you have a low grade fever, but you're not mounting a high fever and you want to stimulate a fever. So some people won't even mount a fever. They'll just have a headache or a dry cough. And I'm talking about other infections too. I'm not talking about COVID-19 here, although I would do this for this infection as well. You want to mount a fever. So the way you do that is you just drink a hot cup of ginger tea that you can make yourself with just ginger you have in your freezer, refrigerator, or cabinet. You just grate that into a cup of water, and decoct it, which means boil it on the stove until you have a really strong tea for maybe 15 minutes. Drink a cup of that while sitting, if you have access to a hot bath. So while sitting in a hot bath, then you get out of the bath and you wrap yourself in. You dry off, put on pajamas, wool socks, and cover yourself with a wool blanket and get into bed and sweat. So it's really initiating a fever or helping your body to mount that immune response. So that can be really helpful for all sorts of infections.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
That's great. So we have another question about the fever. How high do you allow the fever? So yeah. How high do you allow the fever to go before you try to reduce it? And how long would you want to sustain a fever?
Well, I guess in an adult, I would say I wouldn't go higher. I err on the side of caution in everything I do. So some people would say like 104, but I would say 103. And then above 103, I would reduce it, especially in a child. But in an adult, 103 fever is fine. And then for how long would you let that go? Well, I guess you would let that go. And I mean, I would let that go as long as I had it. I wouldn't suppress it. If other symptoms start to arise that are more troubling, then you might want to, I would contact your medical doctor about another intervention. But it is a positive response. So if you're not healing after a few days of that, then I would think about doing something differently, either adding in different nutrients or different herbs, or definitely contacting your doctor. But that is a good question. And I think it's really your comfort zone with fever. Some people are going to be more comfortable letting it go. And I don't like people to be in pain. So it's also a pain reliever. So that's when you might want to say, okay, you know what, it's worth it to take the Tylenol because I'm so uncomfortable, even though my fever is going to come down. So you have to balance all of that.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is our last question. We're doing so great on time. This is perfect. Are elderberry and astragalus okay for those with autoimmunity? Actually,
there is some evidence to show that people with autoimmune disease should be very, very careful with both of those herbs. So I think that if you have an autoimmune disease, I would avoid them. I would also avoid echinacea, and there are others as well. But that is a good question. Some of the herbs, because they stimulate your immune system, can stimulate, and a person with an autoimmune disease may have, their immune system may be unbalanced, and we don't want to overstimulate parts of it that will increase their symptoms. And this is the case with viral infections too, which is why we want to go for a more balanced approach, because we don't want to overstimulate one side of your immune system more than the other. But with autoimmune disease, I think the risk is a little bit higher.
Thank you so much. This has been so informative. I can't wait to do some more research on what you shared. I have some notes that I took. This has been really great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it wasn't too much information, but again, you'll have the slides, and if you have questions, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer questions at any time. And maybe I should divide the information up next time. But thank you all for coming, and for Perfect Supplements for hosting me. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's really fun for me to share this information. So I encourage you to share it with a friend. I find that when women especially learn more, they love sharing it with their family and friends, and then it has this kind of cascade effect. So I hope that you'll share something you learned today with someone that you love. And thank you again, and let me know if there's anything else I can do for anybody.
Thank you. We will send out the slides and make the recording available for other people. So thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm going to end the meeting now.
Okay. Thanks, Kristen. Take care. Bye-bye.